British influence in the architecture dating back through the history of this proud city. All right, now on to the recurve, women's recurve bronze medal match. And in this showdown, it'll be Ukraine against, once again, the People's Republic of China.
So at least one archer here has an advantage, and that's Miss Fang Yuting, because she's a shot on this field. She just came off of the field, and she'll be coming back on. So she's probably already compensated for the left to right wind that's affecting most of the archers that come onto the field of play.
As she shares that information with her fellow teammates, how much help is that to them?
That could be a great help to Team China, because Team China will now be prepared to shoot a little bit off to the left and be prepared to let their arrows fall into the 10 ring because of the wind. We can see a plethora of different teams out there: Team Spain, Team Ukraine, Team China, Team India up at the top of the screen. But here are the archers walking in for the bronze medal women's team recurve match.
The Chinese team leading them out: Cheng Ming, Fang Yuting, and Zhu Jing, the three archers for China. They ease past the Mongolians and the Russians before finally meeting their match in the showdown with the South Koreans. And there's a look at the Ukrainian squad: Katrina Paleka, Lydia Sichnikova, and Julia Zakharachenko. Now we'll introduce you to the three archers from China: Cheng Ming, Fang Yuting, and Zhu Jing. And again, they're the hometown favorites, of course, here on their home soil in Shanghai. Cheng Ming on your right. And the polite applause from the crowd here in Shanghai. Ukrainians, though, very strong in this sport. Paleka, Sichnikova, Zakharchenko.
And two of these archers, the archer who was in the center, Miss Paleka, has already been to the Olympics. So the two archers that were on her left and on her right, that we can see there, are fairly new to the international scene. So it'll be interesting to see how they deal with the pressure. But obviously, as they are here in the bronze medal match, they're dealing with it quite well. So being here on the finals field will be an interesting thing. I still suspect that they will do well. There's our Secretary General, Tom Dillon.
And the gentleman next to him is a slight bit taller. That is
Yao Ming.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
Yao Ming, the 7'4" Yao Ming. Now, Tom is a good-sized man himself.
But that other man is going to put him to shame.
Yes, I think that Yao might be able to dunk on Tom.
Yes. However, Tom is a tennis player, Yao is a basketball player, so again, we'll put
That's true.
Yao Ming into tennis court with a racket in his hands and see what happens.
See what happens. Rush hour traffic here in Shanghai on a Saturday morning as the ships cruise by. And we get set now for the women's team bronze medal match. Ukraine against China, and China will shoot first.
So the rules for the team round are very simple. There's a 1 meter line that's behind the shooting line that the archers have to stand behind. First arrow's a 9. And when one archer is on the shooting line, the other archers have to stand behind this 1 meter line that you can see in the middle of your screen. If a second archer were to pass that 1 meter line while the first archer is still shooting, they will get yellow carded. Is that a 9? A yellow card simply means that you have to come back, and if the transition is being made where archer who has just shot is stepping off the line and the archer who's about to come up crosses the line before the initial archer comes back from the line, fully behind the line, they will get a yellow card, which again means that put your arrows back in your quiver, step behind that 1 meter line, and you have to wait until everybody is clear behind the 1 meter line before one person can go ahead of it. Only one person is allowed.
So it's like being pulled over by the police officer for speeding, but issued a warning.
Issued a warning, exactly. However, red cards can be given out in the sport.
And that's when you call your lawyer.
If your coach is your lawyer who has the protest fees, then yes, that is exactly correct. A red card only really happens when you shoot an arrow after the buzzer, after your allotted time to shoot an arrow. Ukraine's first arrow was a 6 just low right, And there's
another
six high right. But again, we're seeing that the arrows are off to the right. So the first archer was Miss Paleka, the more experienced one. Second and third archers are the relative newcomers to the scene.
Sichnikova and Zakharachenko.
And she scored a 9, slightly to the left. Still a 4-point deficit behind People's Republic of China. After the first 3 arrows, still it's anybody's game. 4 points is kind of nothing at this stage because each archer has to shoot 2 arrows. 10 points for China, they found the middle. Each archer has to shoot 2 arrows, which accumulates to 6 arrows per end. And that's going to be repeated 4 times, 4 ends, to give you a total score out of 240 points. Now it's cumulative score, it's not a set score. So whoever has the higher score at the end of shooting, it's an 8, whoever has a higher score at the end of shooting will be declared the winner.
China already had a 4-point advantage over the Ukrainians after the first 3 arrows, and China keeping the pressure on now with a 10 and 8 and another 10 to finish off this first set. So an impressive 53 out of a possible 60 points.
Yeah, and the best Ukraine can do right now is have a 2-point deficit. If they shoot all 10s on these next 3 arrows, which I'm hoping they do, then they'll only be behind by 2 points. 8 points. Now the best that Ukraine can do is be behind by 4 points if the next 2 arrows are 10s.
And they have yet to shoot a 10. But no time better than the present right now.
Exactly.
Zakharachenko.
An 8 up high. So the potential point difference keeps increasing right now. Best they can do is a 6-point deficit.
Ms. Sichnikova, 19 years old, ranked 46th in the world last summer, now 52nd. And she finishes off that set
with a 7.
With a 7.
So now a 9-point lead for Team China, and Ukraine, I think, just needs to calm down just a little bit, get their nerves under check. We can see China is a lot less fidgety. They're kind of more relaxed, whereas Team Ukraine came back and they just looked nervous, in my opinion. And again, that's showing the relative novice level of two-thirds of their team, where they're kind of, I think, just a little intimidated, a little scared that they're fighting the home crowd favorite on this field, where whenever somebody is shooting, they're the only person on this field shooting, so all eyes are on them. It can get a little nerve-wracking, but you'll see people deal with this in different ways, and some other people just don't get fazed by it at all. So Team China right now in a little bit of a comfortable lead, 9 points after the first end, but again, we'll see what Team Ukraine has to pull out of their quiver.
It is such a big difference when you go from the elimination rounds, which were shot in Yuanshen Sports Center this week, and you come out here and you can see from this setting, look at all the cameras, look at the people in the stands. There are ships cruising by. It's a whole different environment now that you're put into, and the lights are on.
And there's a TV, so you can also see yourself on TV, and that can sometimes be a distraction. Some of these archers shoot with scopes on the line, for the individual matches at least, and you're not allowed a scope on the line now. So there's a lot of different factors that really take you out of your comfort zone to come here to the finals field and try to shoot the normal way you do.
Katrina Paleka, the most experienced archer for the Ukrainians, trying to get her team off to a good start here in this set. Once again, China up by 9 after the first set. Now Julia Zakharachenko.
And that arrow is with a 9 or an 8.
On the line.
So what happens in this sport is if you have an arrow that is on the line, it is automatically scored as the higher value arrow. However, right now we can't tell because we can't get up there up close to see the arrow. And that's a solid 10.
I don't think we need to be up close for that one.
That one looks like it's definitely in, but when it's when it's in doubt, you'll see the score of the lower possibility of the 2 scores, an 8 or a 9, for example, and an asterisk appears. So we can see in the second box for Team Ukraine an 8 asterisk, which means it could be an 8 or a 9. But that's definitely a 9 from Team China. But
lots of cameras trained on the Chinese archers here in their home country.
The media really likes them.
Oh, yes. China's already picked up a bronze medal, and here they're going for another bronze medal in the women's team competition. 9, a 10, and now on this third shot of the second end.
Little long hold, and that's a 9 up high.
I was going to ask you about that. You want to shoot the same way every time, don't you? Isn't it like shooting free throws in basketball? Basically, you want to repeat the same.
You do. You will repeat the same movement, but the rate at which you repeat that movement will dictate how long your shot is, because you have to pull your arrow through what's called a clicker. And this clicker is a little piece of metal that your arrow sits underneath. And once your arrow point passes the clicker, it literally clicks against your bow. When this clicking sound occurs, that's kind of a sign. We can see it there. An arrow point is coming underneath it. There it clicked, and she shot. When an archer hears that clicker, they shoot. They automatically think to relax their bow hand, relax their string hand, and
release.
Let the bow. Yeah, exactly. Go. But when you're under pressure, sometimes the rate at which you pull your arrow through that clicker can change just because of nervousness, of you tightening up or whatnot. So it's definitely a good skill to have, to be able to replicate the same clicker speed at every tournament, in every situation, because then you're going to become a really consistent shooter. Whether it be slow, whether it be quick, if you do it the same all the time, then it's more beneficial to the archer.
Of course, there's the human element. We are dealing with human beings.
Exactly.
Not machines.
Some people do shoot like machines. Jealous of some of those guys, but yeah, we'll see sometimes that the archers do spend a little bit more or less time at full draw. Sometimes it can surprise them. Sometimes it's kind of a struggle, but either way, it's the human element and why the recurve bow is the one that's in the Olympics.
The recurve, the only bow in the Olympics. We'll see the compound bow tomorrow in the competition here in Shanghai, where the second set has come to an end, and it appears as though the Chinese team has picked up one more point.
We'll see what happens when that arrow that's on the line for Team Team Ukraine is scored. There is an 8 asterisk for Team Ukraine, so it's possible that the two teams could have tied for this end. But again, the 9-point lead that Team China gained in the first end is something.
Could tell the story.
Exactly.
Whatever happens here in this match, it's been a good week for the women from the Ukraine. They started off with a 5-point victory over Italy, got a 1-point decision over Chinese Taipei, and then suffered an 8-point setback to Team India. The team we'll see next in the gold medal match. Thus, they are in this bronze medal match against the People's Republic of China. Fell behind, as Crispin mentioned a moment ago, by 9 points in that first end. Much closer in that second end, but nonetheless, China able to pick up one more point, pad their lead, and it's at double digits right now, 107-97, and so a lot of ground to be made up in these last two sets for the team from the Ukraine.
That's right, and I think that was still an unofficial score, so we'll see if any score changes. After official scoring has taken place, we can see the judges clearing the field down by the targets, and it looks like it might be official that it is 107-97, so a 10-point lead for Team China over Team Ukraine.
So Paleka, 32 years old, member of the women's team that captured the gold medal at stage 3 in Ogden last year, and there's a good look at the gallery of media covering this event in Shanghai. This first stage kicking off the outdoor season for many archers. We had over 300 show up here this week at the beginning of the week.
Now it's just whittled down to who you're going to be seeing on your TV today.
And really, that's a major accomplishment, just getting to this point. Just getting through the elimination rounds to reach a bronze medal match or a gold medal match.
I've only been there a couple times, and I can tell you it feels really nice to be able to shoot in front of everybody and to showcase your talent and your skill at the sport. And 10 points. So Ukraine has tightened it up, and they are shooting a lot better now. We'll see what that does to Team China. I don't think they have anything to worry about, though, with a 10-point lead. However, anything can go, and it's never over until it's really, really over and the last arrow has been shot.
There's a 9 for the Chinese archers.
And a 10 point.
In the center ring.
Going back to that clicker timing that I was talking about before, in this team round, each team only gets 2 minutes to shoot their 6 arrows. So you do have to be kind of conscious and aware that you do have other teammates that you have to either potentially worry about or have to make up for, depending on what position you are in the shooting order. So a quicker clicker time or a quicker shooting time while you're in this type of team round is much more beneficial to your team, especially if you can shoot quickly and score well with it. So seeing that as a factor can sometimes tie people up. You can also do the opposite effect because they try a little too hard, and when they try too hard, that's when they slow down or they tense up and they stop moving that arrow back.
But you and I have both seen situations where the first 2 archers have taken a little bit too much time and left that third archer with little or no time to get off a good shot.
Yes, and that's happened to me before as well. And that's the job of the third archer in most teams. Is the third archer is the person who can speed their shot up the most and still score as consistently as when they're shooting relaxed. So we call that the anchor position. But here we see Ukraine has shot 54 points.
So much like Katniss Everdeen in the Hunger Games, you can just pull that right out of your quiver.
And shoot it.
And shoot it.
Yep. Sometimes that's
without thinking, without really even looking.
Exactly. You have to really sometimes just go on autopilot, just pull the arrow out, throw it in the bow, get the string to your face, and just shoot it. And sometimes it works really well. Sometimes not so much because you get so surprised on when that clicker clicks and you automatically just think to release.
Beautiful shot right there. Strong, strong shooting by the Chinese archers here on their home turf. And you can see from those flags in the background, the wind barely moving as the Longines clock counts down. And with 12 seconds to go, she fires the shot. And the Chinese will pick up yet 1 more point.
So
unofficially
right now, the score is tied, I think.
Actually, they should be up by 11.
Not tied, sorry, by 10 points. Sorry that my score prompter hasn't updated yet. But unofficially, People's Republic of China with 162 points out of a possible 180. Only 18 points dropped so far, which is averaging out to 9 points per arrow thus far for Team China.
If you're just joining us, welcome to Shanghai and the 2012 Archery World Cup's first stage. We have already had the mixed team competition. China winning a bronze medal in the mixed team competition. Chinese Taipei taking the gold medal, and now we're into the women's team bronze medal match. Well into this match right now, and the lead remains at 10. Apparently, as the team from China has 162 out of the possible 180, and the Ukrainians with 152 points. And once again, much the same story as we saw. Well, we'll get back to it in a moment. That's Yao Ming once again, the great Chinese basketball player who made the leap to the United States and had a great career with the Houston Rockets for so many seasons, 7'4", and he really bridged the gap between the two great countries, the United States and China. And of course, basketball being the global sport that it is, he was a great ambassador around the world.
Yeah, I remember seeing him when I went to the 2008 Olympics and just imagining, just thinking to myself, wow, that's a lot of height that that guy has. Over almost 2 feet taller than I am.
Good shot of Dean Alberga just a moment ago, a man who has the greatest job in the world, I think.
Just take pictures.
Just take pictures. Go around the world, wonderful places, great competition, wonderful people to work with, great athletes, great shots, great moments to capture.
And according to the scoreboard, sorry, Team Ukraine is only behind by 9 points, so there has been a score update.
Okay.
And that is 9 points for Team Ukraine. However, with 9 points deficit going into the final end, all Team Ukraine can do right now is just shoot for for the glory, right? Just shoot for getting your shot back, knowing that you are still a good archer, and basically whatever you do is not going to be in vain. You're either going to shoot really, really well and make up a 9-point deficit in 6 arrows, which is almost impossible at this level. But with shooting like that, that's pretty good.
And for somebody like Sichnikova, who's 19 years old, what great experience this is.
For sure.
And the pressure's off right now.
Exactly. Pressure's off. This is all for glory and just shoot. For Team China, it's kind of the same deal, but on the other end of the spectrum, they've got such a big lead that no matter what they do, they can still score well.
Ms. Chang with an 8 right there. What a great archer she is, though. Won the Recurve Women's World Cup final in 2011 in Istanbul and continues to shoot very well, although with that shot, an 8.
It's not
Nobody's
something
perfect.
that they wanted. Yep.
Nobody's perfect.
That's a 10. But you never know. The pressure could have just kind of gotten to her on that one shot. There's something could have just been a little off. I didn't see anything from my angle that could have pointed to an arrow out right that far.
Here's Fang Yuting.
And another 8. And I believe I saw Fang Yuting wearing a turtleneck. I don't know how she does that. It's way too hot out here. I think it's about 25 degrees Celsius with about 80% humidity. And she's in a turtleneck.
Oh, you Canadians.
You can see the arrow coming under the clicker.
There's the clicker.
Click and gone.
Immediately released.
And 9 points, just like her last arrow, just in a much lower position than her last 9.
Great camera coverage by our crew from Hit the Roof out of Switzerland. Travels the world and gives us these great shots. And there's a 7 for Zakharchenko, 21 years old. She was 17th in the individual competition last February at the World Indoor Championships in Las Vegas. And now the 19-year-old Lydia Sichnikova.
And 9 points to finish off their match. 207 points out of a possible 240. Not the best performance by Team Ukraine.
But a strong one by China.
10 points. It's on the line, but it's definitely in. You can see the arrow is cutting into the actual yellow of the 10.
Ms. Chang finished 6th during the individual competition just last fall here in Shanghai. We actually had the 4th stage here last fall in September, but due to the typhoon season, they took that into consideration, decided to change it and make this the first stop, and so far so good. It's worked out well. The weather's great.
Yes, it is. A little cold at some times, but as we see here, Team China just needs to hit the target to win, and it's a 10. So a 10-point win for Team China over Team Ukraine for the Recurve Women's bronze medal team round.
She hits the target and then some. And so a commanding victory for the People's Republic of China here in the women's team bronze medal match. And once again, they get to salute their fans here on the home turf in Shanghai. And the second medal of the day. We've had 3 matches thus far, and 2 of the 3 victories have gone to the home team from China. But there you see for the Ukrainians, 207 points on the day. And for the trio from China, 217. So a very comfortable victory as they led from wire to wire. And they win by 10. So a 10-point victory for China.